to this episode of All Things Vuma. We continue to explore the wonders of the Vuma in the garden route. Vuma means harmony in Xhosa and Zulu. In this episode, we discover the pinnacle of service to others through an inspiring journey. Hop aboard our Tuk-Tuk for a peaceful ride to freedom in the heart of wilderness. We also connect with our environmental expert, Mark Dixon, for a conversation about the impact plastic waste has on our beautiful coastline. And finally, we paddle into the world of the surfer kids in Mossel Bay, where we delve into the significance of committing oneself to a meaningful purpose in life.
My name's Craig Marais, but I go by Oh Yeah. Oh Yeah, the reason I got the name Oh Yeah is because we moved to Wilderness when we actually came down for the weekend to visit my daughter, and then it was lockdown. So we never ever went back to Johannesburg. We're originally from Johannesburg. And we decided not to go back and just stay here because Wilderness is so beautiful. The people are so accommodating, and it's just a wonderful place to be. And then a year ago, I was in construction with my son, and me and him were best friends and partners in the business. And tragically, he took his own life. And the whole family has been battling to cope with this. But I personally try and make the best of it as possible. So I decided to stop construction and build a tuk-tuk for him. So we always used to drink a lot and say, oh yeah, and my family hated it, and it was just not on. But after he passed away, I decided to call the tuk-tuk Oh Yeah. And then I had a dream one day, and he was in my dream, and he saw the tuk-tuk, and he said, Dad, we finally did it. And he said, there's something I want to tell you that's quite important. So I said, yeah, well, tell me. He said, well, let's jump in the tuk-tuk and I'll tell you. So I jumped in the front of the tuk-tuk, and I said to him, jump in the back, my boy, let's go. And he said to me, no, I'm a spirit now. And he jumped into me, and he said, hey, Dad, look how well we fit together. We fit exactly perfectly. And you must remember, I'll always be in you, and I'll always be with you. And then we drove around in my dream around Wilderness, and we were laughing and having fun. And then the next day I woke up, and I just knew he was still with me. And to me, that was so much healing. The rest of my family still struggles with it, but I feel that he's with me every day. And so that's what it's all about, Oh Yeah. And it's Oh Yeah with the tuk-tuk. It's we'll take you there because he's my partner in it. So it's not I'll take you there. It's Oh Yeah, we'll take you there. So whatever I'm doing it with my son. He's a silent partner in the business. He's very silent. But he's with me all the time, and it brings me great joy just to be able to do that. All the hotels and the guest houses in the area know me as Oh Yeah, and all the restaurants have got me on their little register. So whenever anybody, mainly the tourists, need a ride or something, the guest house will phone me, and I'll collect them, and then they phone me 10 minutes before they want to leave, and I take them home. In the day I do adventure travels. I take people canoeing or paragliding or on the hiking trails or whatever they want to do. Then in the evenings it's generally just meal time for everyone. And then after 11 o'clock I handle a lot of drunk people who are having fun and they don't want to drive. So it's convenient for me as I don't drink. It gives me a lot of joy just to drive them around and meet all the different people. There's a lot of Germans, there's a lot of Dutch, there's a lot of French, and I'm quite a people's person, so it's just so much fun for me, and also knowing that my son is with me in this. My life philosophy is always make yourself the most important person in your life, because you affect so many people around you. And you can either be miserable and they'll be miserable, or you can be happy and joyful and treat everyone with love and care. And in return, you'll get that same effect from them.
So the Strong Clipper project has been documenting and researching ocean plastic waste for 6 years now. We started in 2018, and basically we've developed a system of categorizing and quantifying plastic pollution along the coastline. And we see some items that are really, you know you're going to find them. We've developed something, we call it the Trashy 20, and those are 20 most common plastic items that we see along the shoreline. Some or most of them are actual domestic plastic things that everybody uses, and then some are fishing boat related, so ropes and all that sort of thing. So, and what's important is how far they drift. So most of the plastic that you're seeing washing up on the shore and the beaches is from land, okay, except for things like ropes and that's obviously from the shipping vessels, but the bottles, over 90% of the bottles are from land and that. So we've got a range of things. So if we look at where are we close to the source of pollution. So we, for example, here we're at a parking lot now, there's cigarette butts lying all around. Now, those cigarette butts have got up to 7,000 chemicals in them, 70 of which are carcinogenic, okay? So it's a plasticized cellulose acetate, which is part of the butt to make your filter, and that breaks down. It floats for about a kilometer, maybe 1.5 kilometers from where it washes in. So you have a parking area, you've got drainage line, people throw their cigarette butts down instead of putting them in a trash can, and those then we have a light bit of rain, flows down, goes down and washes, unfortunately, onto the beach and into the ocean. And those chemicals are released. They have an impact on the ocean, biodiversity, so the fauna and the flora, and the chemicals get released and they can have an impact both on the fish as well as the reef cover. So cigarette butts, please do yourself a favor, do the environment a favor, put it in the can, look after it, be ecologically conscious about what you're doing with that. So that's one of the items that we have as an indicator plastic item of how far we are from our particular source of trash. And then we've got other items. So you've got your microplastics, and those are small little pieces, smaller than 6-7 millimeters. And unfortunately, this is probably one of the most dangerous sources of plastics in the ocean, because a lot of marine animals and birds will consume that. So turtles, we're in turtle stranding season now, the loggerheads and the leatherbacks that from KwaZulu-Natal, the little hatchlings wash up, and 75% of the ones that are rescued have plastic in their guts, okay? A turtle can weigh 20 grams. It can have 14 grams of plastic in that. So when it gets rescued and it goes off for rehab at Two Oceans or Bay World, they monitor it for the first 2 days, and in the first 2 days, 48 hours, it's just pooping plastic. And so you've got a whole raft of that. Now, what it does to both the turtles and anything else that's eaten the plastic, birds and that, it mimics a full stomach. So the animals actually die of starvation with a stomach full of plastic. So that's that. So you don't want plastic to get into the ocean and break down into those little pieces. And then obviously you've got your bottles, which is a big thing, and that's a whole different topic because it is a high value product. But I think that's, you know, for a different discussion. But yeah, please, if you're going to, just make sure your plastic's done. You put it in the right bin, and make sure that your cigarette butts go into a bin. Do not throw them on the ground.
Yeah, my name is Hermann. I'm from the West Coast originally. Moved to Mossel Bay in 2010, yes, in May 2010. My wife and I moved to Mossel Bay and we started a tourism business. And yeah, I love the garden route because it's not too far away from Cape Town. It's close enough to drive there in half a day, but it's warm water. I think one of the things that really struck me was I left South Africa at a very young age. I went to live overseas when I was 15, and then came back as a 17-year-old. And when I came back from Europe, the level of inequality that we grow up with, and it just seems normal to most people, kind of struck me quite hard. I mean, you're quite impressionable as a teenager, and I think it came from that. That just seemed completely unfair to me, and I wanted to do something about it. And when we started the tourism business, then the idea of helping people through surfing, just because it's a surfing-based business, tour business, so the idea of extending that just seemed natural. Surfing Kids recruits children from a township outside Mossel Bay and teaches them surfing, feeds them on a daily basis, and runs the program 5 days a week from Tuesday to Saturday all year round. We don't close for school holidays, so a lot of the kids spend more time here than they do at school because there are no holidays here. We operate throughout the year. And yeah, we run daily surf lessons and try and teach the kids surfing up to a level where they feel comfortable. I mean, I would say that it first and foremost, it teaches the idea of commitment to a personal goal, a level of development. It's like any other skill that is difficult to learn and takes a very long time to learn, and it's, yeah, I think because the learning curve is so steep, I think it's the ideal vehicle for that. It takes years to learn how to read the ocean. You know, even just learning to paddle, it takes a long time. But then ultimately, you know, learning to read the ocean is like learning to speak a new language, and it's a long-term thing. I mean, it's the equivalent of studying for a university degree in terms of time spent doing it. So that's and then the other important thing, I don't know if I'll get to 5 points, but I think the second point probably is just a connection to nature and a connection to something bigger than just oneself. I think a lot of hobbies and a lot of pursuits can maybe become a little bit self-obsessed, whereas an obsession with surfing, at the end of the day, you're always still in the elements. You know, anything that takes you out into the elements and gives you that exposure to, you know, this thing that's way bigger than you are. Or with the understanding that it doesn't matter who you are, you can be the wealthiest person in the world or you can be the poorest person in the world. The common denominating factor is still, are you able to commit to a goal? Because if you're not able to commit to a goal, whether you don't have any money or you have all the money in the world, you're not going to accomplish anything. And so there's that common denominating factor, and obviously people with money have more opportunities, but that being said, if you have less opportunities, it becomes so much more important to have that commitment, because the opportunity is going to be fewer and further in between. And when that opportunity comes around, you better make sure that you are committed to making a success out of it. Because without that, it's just not going to go anywhere. And everybody is always going to need help. But at the end of the day, if you don't take that onto yourself, all the help in the world won't do anything, because you'll end up right back where you started, and sometimes even worse off than where you started, if ultimately your problems come down to somebody else to solve for you.
My name is Mama Kosha, and I'm the head surf coach here at the Surfer Kids. I've been part of the Surfer Kids for about 2 years. I worked for a year before, and I left, came back, and I've been working here for another year. And yeah, I mean, surfing is obviously something that I'm very passionate about. I mean, I was 9 years old, 20 years ago, walking down the street, and some random guy just stopped his bike and asked me if I want to go surf. Literally. And I was like, yes, because I was already swimming at school. I was like, of course, I want to go to the beach. I went to the beach, caught my first wave, came back, got a hiding. What are you doing getting into a stranger's bike and going for a surf? But anyway, I did that, and I was literally hooked from the first day I started doing it. So I've been surfing for about 20 years now. Interestingly, I came up through an organization similar to this one. So I think I have a deep understanding of what an environment like this can do for a child. Because I mean, myself and a couple of friends of mine, we grew up doing this in an organization like this. Unfortunately, some of them stopped, and I've just carried on, doing it. And now I'm here working as a surf coach at the Surfer Kids. Long-term commitment through surfing, and also I feel like this sport gives them a bigger vision of what is possible outside of the township. But it's very difficult as a young child who grows up, in a tough situation to imagine that you can make something big of yourself if you're literally stuck in that environment and you never get to see these things. So I feel like having them down here and having them meet different people from different parts of the world, also traveling and getting to see South Africa as a whole, it kind of broadens their imagination and gives them an idea of what's possible out there.
We have a website that's thesurferkids.com, or Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Thank you so much for watching All Things Vuma. If you want to send us an email, please do info@vumatv.co.za. And if you want to visit our website to learn more about our sponsors, vumatv.co.za. Live simply, travel light, and always see the wonder.